my big pleasure and honor to be with you today, with you, the audience, and with you, my dear speakers. Let me introduce you. Joining us virtually is Sophie Guillain, environmental participation practitioner from an organization called Publica. Sophie is joining us from Paris. And well, I think we have to accept her excuse of not joining us on site because her organization's very responsible politics doesn't allow her to travel twice during less than 1 month to Tartu. So, Sophie, we absolutely understand your position, and I think it is very relevant in context of this panel. Then we have on the right side of me, we have Raimond Tamm, who is Deputy Mayor of Tartu City, our host. Nice to have you. Thank you. And then we have Fabro Steibel, who comes from Brazil, and Fabro is Executive Director of the Institute for Technology and Society from Brazil, as said. And my name, as said, is Kristina Reinsalu. I'm a citizen engagement expert at the e-Governance Academy. And it's really my pleasure to moderate this session now with these very inspiring and experienced experts. And just remind you, please use WorkSup as you have done so far to post your questions, because we will come to them in the end of our discussion. But without further ado, let's kick off this session. And well, I think that in this audience, it is even unnecessary to repeat that the green and digital transitions are really two main processes shaping the present and the future of our societies. And digital transformation clearly contributes and supports openness, prosperity, transparency, inclusiveness. And green transformation cultivates and supports healthier, and I dare to say also happier societies. And I think that the secret of success in making our countries and societies more resilient to climate change, but at the same time also maintaining our economical and other prosperities, is amplifying the synergy between those two forces, really to have this maximum impact. But what I like to emphasize is that to synergize these transformations, we must really acknowledge and understand the importance of democratic, open and engaging governance and engagement of citizens in those processes. And therefore, in our panel, we will explore global examples of democratic, green and tech innovations, and discover also, while doing this, the value and beauty of citizen engagement in shaping climate policies and also actions. And we will do these examinations from different aspects: tech solutions for green transition, engagement of citizens in green topics, digital solutions for engaging citizens. So you see, these all three aspects are often very intertwined. And I'm so happy that I have here the experts who can actually elaborate on each of those aspects and bringing here their very, at the same time, very practical expertise. But also Fabro, at least, is coming also from academia. So yeah, we have, I think, nice mixture. And Raimond is politician, so we have all different perspectives. So just I kindly ask now my dear panelists for one opening statement, which after my short concrete introduction to those questions, I have very personalized question to each of you, depending and also related to your concrete perspective. So, but the general introduction to the questions is that I think that when technology started to develop, one of the big hopes was really that It transforms democracy, it transforms our societies, gives new voice to the people. And I would argue that definitely technology has had a very strong impact, but this is, of course, as we know, two-folded and not always for the good. And can we now expect that technology helps us to be more successful in doing green transition? This is my general question to you, and I think that we just go further with specific questions. I would start with individual question from Fabro. And the mission of your organization, the Institute for Technology and Society, is to ensure that Brazil and the Global South responds creatively and appropriately to the opportunities provided by technology. Please bring us one inspiring example of tech solutions which is being implemented to tackle climate issues in your region and wider in South America and Latin America.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited with the topic of the panel, but I wish this was 1992. We were in Brazil in the first environment conference and discussing technology and climate. We are quite late, but I think technology does play a role. But we have to address a challenge that climate data is not sexy. We don't have lots of knowledge about it. Personal data we do. We have an ecosystem, we have value for the data you provide. In climate, you don't. And then this is where DPIs, digital public infrastructures, AI, and technology in general can help to cope with. One aspect we have is that we have too many climate data. Satellite images in Brazil since the 80s we have, every month, all open source. Weather data, we have lots of it, oceans and more, but we don't have the capacity to analyze, evaluate, make something out of that. At the same time, there's subtypes of data that we never had. Methane, for example, is quite important right now to monitor, and we have very few opportunities, chances, technologies to monitor. So what can we do to achieve that? First, I think it's you have to define a problem and solve it, but not alone. Digital government sometimes is about the last mile, is about the government doing by itself. In Brazil, the example I bring is from Amazon. They got satellite images and they understood biomas. They understood what kind of vegetation was on top of that. And with image recognition and big data, they can follow desertification. They can follow the areas that are becoming more or less green and then contribute with the government to react to it.
So yeah, what I picked from you, thank you very much for your answer. What I picked here that, well, indeed, AI has huge potential still to contribute to this, that we could be better in analyzing or not getting the best out of it, out of the data. Thank you very much. Now going to Sophie. Sophie, you have extensive experience in consulting governments and civil society organizations and companies and other stakeholders in engagement and collaborative dialogue in Green Deal issues. And could you please showcase us one or two social and democratic innovations to tackle climate change or Green Deal issues?
Yes, I can, Kristina. But before all, let me say how I'm sorry not to be sitting by your side. I see it's a beautiful place, a beautiful people around. So just very thrilled to participate to this roundtable. Maybe before answering your question, we should ask ourselves what matters in democracy before aiming to innovate or for the sake of innovation and with digital solution. In many contexts, even in France today, what we need above all is to give people the freedom to speak, to allow them to choose their representatives, to also maybe just to let their opinion be known. And that's what I'm doing as a practitioner. So maybe also saying from where I speak. And for me, to innovate by using digital transformation means ensuring, first of all, that the diversity of people is present or represented in the processes that concern those people. And it also means that we succeed in bringing the diversity of those profiles of the stakeholders into the elaboration of public policy aiming to the green solutions. So how do I do that at Res Publica, the consulting firm that I lead? An example maybe in which we gave more space to face-to-face dialogue, trying to bring in the digital solution. But maybe just to talk about this example I was thinking about before coming, it's the French National Citizens Convention on Climate. I don't know if you heard about it, but it was commissioned by the President Macron. And this innovation involved 150 randomly selected individuals working together. They did have to develop proposals to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. And these proposals, they were intended to assist members of parliament in drafting legislation, a legislation that should combat climate change and enhance resilience to its effects. So while the face-to-face debate was taking place, we did try to put in also a debate throughout the French society to engage all French citizens on the same topics, to provide material for the members of the Citizen Convention. But those French citizen members, they were representatives of the diversity and coming from all different places. So what I saw is that the digital contributions were not so different from one to another, as the debate in face-to-face discussions was I would say, polarized. So I think the innovation lies more here in the political request to resolve the political crisis. I don't know if you heard about the yellow vest crisis in France, but this solution was trying to find a solution out of a political crisis. I think it also lies in the deliberative process and its design. I would say in deliberative process, you have a great advance and accessible education on climate issues. So the citizens, they do confront with the knowledge. We also organize confrontation with stakeholders, and there is this great discussion between stakeholders, people having the knowledge and citizens who have their own knowledge. And the innovation lies also, I would say, on the output, the production of the citizen who confronted their opinion and did an excellent, exceptional job. And they did produce argumented ideas that were used to draft the national law on climate and resilience. And I would say on the digital approach, but maybe we will talk about it again later, it cannot be said that it was correctly used in that situation by the members of the convention, but it was a try. And I have to say that we have to accept this, that using all those tools as innovative tools is sometimes a deception, sometimes it gives great effect. So let's accept that sometimes it is an innovation, it's an experimentation, and we'll find that's the way we find sometimes great opportunities and great moments using the combining tools online and face-to-face tools.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Yeah, exactly. I can't agree more with you that actually innovation in participatory democracy does not lie in technology, but rather in experimenting with models, with all different mechanisms, and political will is very important, which brings me now to our politician in this panel. And let's come now from South America and France to our lovely city of Tartu. And well, by the way, dear audience, do you know what other titles, except or besides or in addition to being cultural capital of Europe, for this year Tartu has? Well, Tartu is also platinum level green tourist destination. And the recognition proves that Tartu has taken the right steps to meet its set climate goals, and this is helping the city to secure its position among the world's best green destinations. I was now citing this description of this award. And I think that, Raimond, you are kind of responsible for having not just only this award, but other green city awards. Could you bring us some examples of smart green tech solutions which help the city to tackle climate issues and make your city more resilient? I know Tartu has experimented with many things.
Yes, thank you so much, Kristina. I'm really glad to be here and share our experiences, what we have gathered over the decades, I would say. So for the first, of course, as a deputy mayor, I'm really glad to welcome all of you here in Tartu, in our lovely city. So digital transformation and also a green transition, both are highly important for the city right now, and that's especially important for us that the conference is taking place just here in Tartu. And also, as we are the European Capital of Culture this year, I would like to highlight that also in the program of the Capital of Culture, we are highlighting everything related to digitalization. We are highlighting everything related to green transition. So those topics are really hot here, and that's why it's easy to speak about it. So actually, we as a city, we started our digital transition about 25 years ago. So it has been quite a while. So, for example, also Tartu has been paperless city government for more than 20 years already now. So also document management, everything is handled electronically in our info system. We can have the city government meetings from whatever point of the world. So we do not need to be connected to certain locations. We can easily manage everything. And up to now, more than 95% of our services are digitalized. So basically, in the field of digital transition, I feel that we are quite well advanced. And I would say that right now the society is basically expecting for the continuous developments in digital transition. So it's not like we have to always convince that it's important, but we have the taste already, we have the experiences, and people are expecting to have, let's say, more developments in this field. When we speak about green transition, it's a bit different story because we still need a lot to educate people to speak why we are doing one or the other thing, because clearly technology can help a lot to make the green transition happen. And then also here in Tartu, we have seen that digital technology supporting the green transition, it's a great thing to happen. And we are, of course, using technology always as a tool. It's not like our main aim is to use technology and then the aim is coming after that. But we are actually aiming on green transition. We are not aiming at using different digital technologies, but we are aiming at green transition. We have our aims. We have set the bar quite high. So that's why we would like to use adequate technology as much as possible. And just to bring examples also, what we have done so far. For example, transportation is definitely one of the key areas when we speak about green transition. And public transportation here in our city, just to find the best public transportation network for the city, we use data-based approach. So digitalization is also important to have adequate data and to have actual understanding what is the situation about. So we use data-based approach, but at the same time, we also use the participation because if you are just using data and you are not involving people, you are making mistakes, which might be really expensive at the end of the day. So of course, data is giving you adequate understanding of the situation, but you cannot forget about the emotions and you cannot forget about the people's expectations. So in our case, we have found out that in case of digital solutions supporting green transition, you have to use really simple tools. And you shouldn't make kind of a complex mix of different developments to propose to people and then ask for feedback or to ask people for co-creation of complex issues. So everything should be really simple. You should use simple tools and the tasks should be also very simple. then you have more people to intervene, then you have more people to give you feedback. So that's why also, in our case, we have found out that this kind of easy map-based idea gathering, that you are just having a map layer, you expect people to point different, let's say, issues on the map, what they would like to change or how they feel the future should be about. So that kind of map-based gathering of information, of ideas, is really work-proof solution. I really think so. And we have used it for the transportation issues like public transportation. Also in case of bike sharing, which we introduced. Bike sharing was introduced in 2019. And before introducing it, we had this idea gathering in which part of the city should be the stations for the bike sharing. And then we received more than a couple of thousands of, let's say, ideas from people. And we were much more confident which are the locations which are important for people. So these kind of examples are something that I wanted to bring out here. Of course, we have many, many other things happening, but we are quite limited in time. So I will speak about other issues when we are answering to the next questions.
Thank you very much. I think that, well, you brought up nice examples. I can assure that these are not just nice examples described by you, but you really try hard and that the city is doing a great job. But at the same time, we both know, and you, Sophie, know, and you, Fabro, we know how much resistance we all meet in our work with engagement, and even more so with engaging citizens in green topics, because every change meets, or every change brings resistance, and it's very human. I dare to say that with digital transition, citizens do probably see the benefit more easily and clearly. With green transition, what they first see is extra burden on them, something which probably makes our life a bit more uncomfortable, at least in the beginning. So the aim is very long-term aim and goal. So my next question basically to all of you is that about public support. How to guarantee public support to green and digital transformation? How to bring the seriousness of the situation and inevitability of the measures to the people? Yeah, maybe starting from you, Sophie, because you are very hands-on on tackling these issues and facing those challenges everyday basis.
One of the commitment that we are asking when we are engaging in public participation is the commitment of the politicians and the commissioners of the public participation process. If we don't have a fair governance of those processes leading to choices in ecological transition or in Green Deal issues, if we don't have a fair governance, by fair governance I intend people responsible, elected responsible, or civil agents or different specialists in the issues. If those people are not following, are not linked to the process involving citizens, then it doesn't work. The complexity of the green issues in tandem means that we have to see and have different points of view and different responsibility gathered and well organized one with another and with the data. So this is a question of really well organizing the governance of the choice we are making, involving citizens and involving all the rich data that we can have to help make the good decision. So this is this mix that I would say that would help guarantee a public good decision. And maybe, I don't know if I can, but react to what Raimond said.
Yes,
you can. He talked about something about simplicity. When I was talking about complexity of the issues and complexity of the governance we have to have, we see the difficulty we have. How do we make those things complex, simple, and accessible to people.
Thank you. Yeah, well, now maybe Fabro and Raimond, would you like to react to this as well?
I think it's always important to remember that there are contradictions, that things are not black and white. And right now, we don't have a policy framing. We don't have a storyline that everybody buys for climate change. In the 80s, was about each country taking care of their own country. Acid rain changed that and say it's not about one country, but it's about the whole countries. And now we have to make this policy framing with social media, short dialogues, TikTok dances, and others. So engaging the public requires us to translate climate to all of these people. One trend, for example, is to criticize AI based on the consumption of energy. It's really a big issue. Some cities, they might have 15% of the power used by that. In other countries, in other cities, this might not be an issue. I remember one application I saw of AI that reduced it from a whole fleet of buses, 40% of fuel used. The only thing they were doing was with visual images, evaluating the tire. Does it have a puncture? Is it twisted? What's the air pressure? So there are some contradictions, and governments need to have really honest, open spaces to have these conversations with people, because it's not a non-off switch. And we learned with social media that public opinion can change very quickly. To give an example from Brazil, it took 6 years for Germany and Norway to create the Amazon Fund. This is some billions of dollars that Brazilian government could use as they wanted. It took a week of social media debates to kill it. So the challenge here is that you need to engage people in things that matter to them. You need to make in a language that I can understand, and you need to be incredibly agile, because everything is changing very fast.
Yes, thank you very much. I just have to mention that both Sophie and I, we are involved in one European Horizon project where we really try to experiment with different models and tools on how to engage citizens in green issues. And Tartu city is our pilot base, and we see how hard it is really to kind of convince citizens to contribute their time and energy, even in dialogues on those green issues, to have their time and dedication on co-creating solutions, because by the end, they are citizens with their everyday small life practices, which makes us change. I mean, any kind of nice digital or Green Deal strategy is not going to work if we are not changing, we as citizens or people are not changing our attitudes and behavior. So still to find ways to gain this public support is very, very needed. So maybe for a short final comment on that topic, Raimond said, what is the trick here? Is it just time?
Yes, of course, as we have gathered many experiences here, I can already point out, in my opinion, what is important in making the public more kind of supporting your green transition. Because in case of digital transition, as I told, it's not that a big issue. People are expecting for it. But in green transition, there are so many things what people do not understand still. So for the beginning, we started to speak about climate change, and then we noticed that, basically, people do not understand, and they do not feel what are the actual results if they are doing one or the other thing. So we are trying to bring everything more down to the level people understand. It basically means that it should be related to their everyday life. When we are expecting to have decrease in CO2 emissions from transportation, we are not speaking about CO2 emissions, but we are speaking about the noise level, we are speaking about the air pollution in the city, etc., etc. So it's much more clear, much more understandable for people, and then you can also, let's say, get better understanding, get better support from the public. So that's one of those examples, but everything that you are trying to aim, you should put yourself on the people level, Because if they do not understand your complex words, then you are losing it already. You are losing the fight. And there are so much, let's say, resistance to green transition in the society. So it's not easy to overcome it, but you have to make it very simple.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because again, coming back to this project, because it really gives us very, kind of real evidence of how people think, what are the barriers of being more green in their behavior. And we also understood that we have to cut this climate issue, this big topic, into smaller pieces. And so we organized in Tartu food assembly to discuss food sustainability, but we were not telling citizens that we are now starting to discuss food sustainability. No, we asked them, what would you like to do to waste less food? What do you want city to do for you in order to save your money, to save the planet? And what do you want or expect the food stores to do, and how to waste less food in schools? So very practical questions, and then citizens gave also very practical solutions and ideas. So this is definitely one way to be more efficient in this. But there is another topic I'm also worried about a bit when we talk about green and digital transition, that both transitions actually create, or there is a big risk that they even increase divides in societies. So because, or even bigger gaps there will be as outcome of those transitions might be that there are even bigger gaps between poor and rich and I don't know, between rural and urban areas. And because, just to give an example, that those fancy green spaces in cities, where they are mostly in neighborhoods where the wealthy people are living, and those who are probably not so wealthy or more marginalized groups, if we call them, they do not have those newly built or refurbished new areas. So, and with digital divide, we are probably a bit more successful already in trying to address those digital divides, connectivity, access issues, but still, how to guarantee that when going through those transitions, we do not leave anybody out, or that we even increase social injustice? Starting from Fabro.
I think we have to consider the role of climate disinformation. So we monitored social media in Brazil for 2 years to try to understand what kind of disinformation about climate was circulating. And the findings were almost none. No peaks. People don't care, don't talk about climate. And that shocked us. When you look at the US, it's different. There you see a politicization of the topic. And then when you have politics and climate debates, you see the peaks on people talking. And then I have to talk in agreeing with you or disagreeing with you. So climate disinformation, it's a huge challenge, especially for the digital divide. We do for 3 years already a national survey of how Brazilians perceive climate change. Mm-hmm. And the result is that they're very scared, but they don't know too much about it. And when you look at those without internet, they really don't know much about it. And when you ask where they get information when they have, that would be WhatsApp. So it's challenging that governments need to participate and engage, but at the same time, we have to avoid the politicization against or in favor of climate change. It should be about the state. But right now, it's a very hard choice to see happening. We see in France, we see in UK, you see in the US. It's hard for politicians. Do not politicize climate change, but they have to address it.
Thank you. Sophie, about this injustice issue, I know that you have been thinking and also acting a lot on trying to tackle this issue. Please.
Yes, but as Fabro said, the situation in France is so different from other countries, and I think that's an interesting point to underline that we deal with different politicians, we deal with different culture, with different people. So in our country, not leaving anyone behind is, I don't say it's easy, but we do have ways of doing it by, as an example, we do, and using digital solutions, we draw people by lot, and we try to incentive them, and we incentive them to come. Sometimes we also pay them so that they come to a discussion. So we do have this possibility to bring into the discussion. And then if they are not present into the discussion, we have ways of representing them in bringing into the discussion a lot of organization, association, representative, because we have a good civil organization giving words to those people representing sick people, fragile people, social part people, etc. So we do have the tools, and I don't know if you want more example, or maybe just to make the discussions goes.
So, Sophie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the organization is also consulting Paris city government, or consulted before Olympic Games, or planning Olympic Games, what we are all looking forward to, in order to make them greener than ever. and
greener and more inclusive. So
yes,
maybe
exactly.
I wouldn't have used this example to respond to your question, but since you are
no, I think that
the opportunity. That's great.
Okay,
that's
again,
great.
you can correct me, but I think that one idea, what we were presented when we visited with you in as part of this project, this Secretariat of Olympic Games, was that also the new objects or new buildings, buildings and facilities will be built in neighborhoods where there are people who are lacking more access to this kind of facilities.
So it was one of the first time, and I think it was the first time that a country organized the implication, a participatory process before or during the Paris bid for the Olympic Games, and then in its project thought and has implemented a lot of action regarding the legacy and the impact of the games. So what we did with as publica was to organize a great national debate that took place in 2016, when during the bid to focus not on the event and on the sportive issue, but on the social, educational, environmental program that could come with the Olympiad. And it's taking place at the moment, what is going on in France before the Games, and what would be the legacy of the game after, are a lot of social policies, educational policies, etc. So it's very rich, and it was a condition not to leave behind those games a lot of a population that will not buy tickets, but will be involved throughout other sportive program, such as it's all a society program around sport. And I think it's interesting, and it's a way not to leave behind people and just break apart the society, but to be modest as well. I don't think we will change the face of the Olympic Games and all its ways of being.
Thank you very much, because I think it is a wonderful example of showing that actually this is not enough if we change our everyday practices. On global scale, there are big changes needed, and why not start from this kind of global events, and so making them totally differently, also in a more environmental way. But now going to this another angle we mentioned in the beginning, really how to use digital tools in a more innovative way to engage citizens in green topics, but generally also, because as I said, our topic here has so many different faces, we hardly can touch all of them during our discussion, but we try. Because I think that whereas there are so wonderful examples of using or potential of using digital tools to, I don't know, create virtual reality, to showcase consequences of climate change, and so really to affect, to be very dramatically projecting citizens. But this is one thing, but do you know very good examples of really revolutionary digital tools in engaging citizens? So my kind of hypothesis, and you can now oppose to that, is that still best cases of environmental engagement are at least combinations, or even rather citizen assembly types or climate assembly type of initiatives, which are still mostly an analog way. So do you know, Fabro, any really cool digital engagement cases where new innovative platforms are used?
We try to create civic tech for deliberation for 10 years. We have, for example, one app that uses quadratic voting for people to prioritize. It's open source, and it helps when you don't have a majority that will make everybody happy. Forums is something quite old, but they're still quite good. We are doing one national forum now for the next law of artificial intelligence in Brazil. Do lots of people participate? We are 220 million. The answer is no. But when you see 10,000, 20,000 people participate, that's a lot. And those are the ones that care. So I think the technology in civic participation comes to make easier for you to administrate, run the process. So you need less humans taking care of that and thinking about why we are doing this. I don't think there will be a huge change. Maybe chatbots can explain simpler ways to you, but I think that if you remove the human from public servant making the consultation, everything falls down.
Thank you. And well, maybe, of course, the scale and scope is almost not possible to compare Brazil and Estonia and Tartu, but yeah, do you remember any really cool initiative Tartu City has done engaging citizens digitally in green issues, but also generally might be other important issues in society or questions?
Yes, thank you so much. And just to highlight that, you know, if you would like to involve most of the society, you have to use different tools. It's not just you are just going for digital tools and everybody is involved. So that's not that simple. And also in case of digitalization, I would like to say that sometimes young people do not really care about the things happening in the society, and the elderly people do not really know or like to use the digital technology. And then you are facing the reality that actually digital solution might not be the best solution also. But in our case, as I told, for the first, you have to limit your digital participation tools to the minimum. You have to use same tool or similar tools all the time. Then you get people to really understand what kind of tools they are using, not to surprise every time with a new tool. Exactly. And then ask people to participate. Use the same tool and use a simple tool. It's better if it's really simple so that people do not need to really find a way how to work with the tool. So in our case, as I told, map-based idea gathering has proved to be a really successful tool. So it's really easy. You can easily have the map of your city or your whatever municipality, and you can make it easier for the citizens to find out on the map different locations, to address different issues they would like to address in the city, and et cetera, et cetera. That's kind of solution. It's really simple.
Well, it's time to engage with the audience, and I'm now have opened the chat, and I see that there is actually a very good question, which is very much aligned with this, what you mentioned, and what we were discussing, different tools, but it goes to Sophie, I think. How do you see games playing a role for educating and increasing public participation in green transformation? And then this is also reference to climate fresque from France is popular.
Maybe, and that would also answer to your precedent question, I do not enter participation by the tool. I just wonder first why, what am I putting into discussion, why I am doing it, and when, at what moment in the elaboration of the project. So then I choose the tool. Mm-hmm. So I would not say digital tool is a solution or a game is a solution. If one of those two tools gives me an opportunity to tackle the why, the when, the what, then I use this tool. And yes, both of them are very interesting. The making deliberation, having deliberation online is one subject itself. It's complicated. We did develop ourselves a tool that we are using because we see how deliberation is going on face-to-face. So we try to implement to do things, and it does work a little, but it's not obviously as nice as being on face-to-face. And yes, games, serious game, fresks are very interesting. But again, when do you use the game? Do you use it before to sensibilize, to talk about the issues? Do you use it to bring people to make proposals, or do you use it to help the decision? And the games and the digital tools are different at those these different moments. And I think this is very important in democracy and in politics, that when I was saying at the beginning that innovation or gimmicks we can have around gadgets and stuff shouldn't be the entrance. It absolutely has to be why, what, and when do we do it? Yeah. And then that would be great because it answers well to those questions.
Yeah, I totally agree once again. Mm-hmm. But Fabro, maybe you can give us any example of great new game or whatever, more interactive digital tool which really facilitates more lively and vibrant participation.
To be honest, I think social media has had more success in engaging people than civic tools. So more people read books on TikTok than books on libraries. So if I have to say what really mobilizes people, it's this network of influencers that they are the intermediaries between something. We have one project where we help influencers to understand their role in disinformation and hate speech. If you change one person that has 2 million followers, this is a way to go. But in terms of tech to participate, I've seen everything. Mexico did maps to understand where the public transportation was, because there was nothing about that. For bicycles, this is quite useful as well. But I think it's about what Sophie said, that people want to participate, but you really need to know how to make that count. And then it's not really about technology, but it's about politicians that say, okay, I listen to you, let's go.
Yeah, thank you. By the end, it all goes down to trust, trust of citizens towards, governance, towards technology, all different phases of trust. But now, maybe continuing with Raimond, this is a good question also in chat, that what are the top priority gaps, skills, knowledge, collaboration, or something else that need to be bridged to accelerate effective digital solutions for green transformations?
Yeah, for the first, when we are speaking about engaging of people, then we should not speak about green transition and digital transition at the same time, because as I told, people need to understand what we are speaking about and not to make it too complex. So in case of implementing a new solution which supports a green transition, we are always trying to hide the technology behind it. So it basically means that we are highlighting the aim of the green transition, and then we are not speaking about the technology or the technological background around it. If there is an interface people have to use, then of course we are trying to make it as simple as possible for people to use, but it shouldn't be highlighted. It should be kind of easy for people to understand.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid our time is soon up, and it's really time for final, very short remark, comment, but maybe you should or you could reflect on what is your vision for the future in societies regarding synergizing these two transitions we have been talking about, and what are the possible different scenarios, and will tech by the end save us, or will AI save us, or what saves us? Starting from Fabro, but please be very short.
My desired future is to survive. The alternative version is do not survive. So when you go to environment events, you really have some idea of how late we are in the game. So my wish is to survive for a long time.
Thank you. This is very nice wish indeed. Raimond, please.
For the first, I think we need to have a knowledgeable society. That's the basis for everything. So we should take care of every step to make the society as knowledgeable as possible. And then, of course, technology can help, because technology, let's say the technological revolution what we have had, we can see that we have so many new technologies emerging on the market. So definitely technology will help us to solve many problems in the world, including CO2 emissions. We will have wonderful technology, I can promise you, how to take care of it. But the first is just to have the understanding in the society why we are doing it and why it's important.
Thank you. And Sophie, very brief last comment on that.
Difficult, because before saying the world that I see, I think about the diversity of worlds that we heard about today, and the worlds that I see just around me by facilitating or debating online. So I do think it's a difficult question, but I also think that now we more or less know how to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So the challenge now is how to start, when to start, and what pace can we take. So I think it's a question of action. If we take action, I don't think we will save the world, but it's better than just thinking on what to do by participation. Participation has to be participation toward action.
Yes, thank you very much. We sent you a lot of love and sunshine to Paris. And with that, thank you, our wonderful panelists, Sophie, Raimond, Fabro. And well, it has been a pleasure. And I'm sure that our panelists will stay for lunch. So please, you can approach them.
Yes, please.
Continue. Well, sorry, Sophie. And well, before we all go to lunch break, it's really just to remind you, now indeed is a lunch break. And please be active in networking and also using WorkSup. And don't also forget to visit those partner stands. Thank you. It has been a pleasure. Thank you for attention.